In this ultimate melodic techno tutorial, I will show you the whole process how to create drop in signature style of Argy. And I will show you how to build big time techno drums and aggressive lead by Massano. And also I will show you how to build signature acid and distorted Innellea synths. And of course, I will show you how to build emotional and melodic synths by Agents of Time. Hi everybody, this is Múrten and welcome to Ultimate Melodic Techno production tutorial. But before we will start, I want to say a few words about my music academy and label called Prizma.
Welcome to Prizma, Music Academy and label. By the end of our beginners and pro music production courses, all students will create a ready-to-release track. Trust the mixing, mastering, and ghost production process to our producers, who will deliver the Beatport Top 100 quality to your tracks. Check out our website prizma.world to listen to our students' releases. Feel free to reach out through our email or messengers with any questions, inquiries, apply on a course, or to order services. Discover the full spectrum of music with Prizma, and we'll see you on sessions.
Yep, that's it guys, and if you have any questions about the Prizma, hit us up by the email or messengers and discover the full spectrum of music with Prizma. And now, no more words needed, let's go! Okay guys, and before we'll start produce our tracks, I have prepared this separate channel with the sidechain and I'm attaching the video how to create it. And also I have prepared three send return channels, the first one with the short verb, the second one with the long verb, and the third one with the delay, and I'm also attaching the video how to create them. Now we can finally move to the drums and we will start with the kick selection. For this Argy idea we will use short and sharp kick and we will compress it. Here we need to turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. Now our kick sounds tighter. Okay, and now I will remove the kick in some places according to my arrangement idea. We've done all the work with the kick and now let's move to the bass. I will use this serum preset here. And today, most of the time, we will use the presets from my Spectrum Volume 2 sample and presets pack. We will produce our track in B minor key. And now we need to create the dynamic and groove with the bass notes. Sounds cool. Yeah, I really love how this bass pattern sounds. Now I need to create the rest of the pattern. And now we can duplicate these bass notes to the second half of the MIDI clip. Now we can extend the bass for the whole drop. And now we can move to the bass processing. We will start with the EQ. First of all, we need to clean these sub-frequencies. And now we need to remove a few dB on the main kick frequency to help the kick go through the bass. Now we need to add a few dB on the 100 Hz to give the body to the bass. And now we need to cut off the higher frequencies from the main lower bass. Now I want you to hear the frequencies that were cut off. We can leave these frequencies to the top bass, and from the lower bass we need only the lower frequencies. Now we need to sidechain this bass, and I will copy and paste the sidechain compressor that I've created before. We will use a really huge amount of the ratio here, because more lower frequencies, more sidechain, more higher frequencies, less sidechain. We've done all the work with the lower bass, and now let's move to the top bass with this serum preset. This top bass preset is also from my sample and presets pack called Spectrum. And now we will try to create the same pattern with the top bass notes. I think we will change just a few notes here. But this time, according to the lower bass, we will leave the shorter notes on the top bass. Now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. We can slowly move to the processing, and we will start with the EQ. First of all, we need to divide the frequencies on the lower bass and on the top bass. We just cleaned lower bass frequencies on the top bass. Now we will clean the mid frequencies. And the last part, I will remove a few dB on the higher frequencies using the shell filter. Okay, and now we need to apply the sidechain on this bass. And as I said before, we will use less amount of the ratio here. Now we can apply the short reverb on this bass using the send return channel. And also a little bit of the delay. Now let's listen this bass in the mix. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the bass here, and now let's move to the drums. We'll start building our drum group with the sharp clap. And according to my arrangement idea, in the beginning of the drop we will leave the space for the kick, bass and synths. Now let's move to the open hi-hat. And I want to open hi-hat right before the clap starts playing. And we need to place our open hi-hat right between the kick and clap. Now we can extend our MIDI clip. Now let's add some short reverb. And now let's move to the first layer of closed hi-hats. For this layer we will use really short hi-hat. Now we need to create the empty MIDI clip, and let's create a pattern. And now we need to play with the velocity to create a groove. Now we can duplicate our notes. But I think I want to remove this click sound from the beginning of this closed hi-hat, and I want to adjust the attack knob. Yeah, sounds much better now. Now let's mix the volume. Now let's add some short reverb. And to create a stereo effect, I want to send the signal a little bit to the right. And also don't forget about the delay. Now let's listen the whole mix. And now we need to sidechain these closed hi-hats. And now we can slowly move to the second layer of the closed hi-hats. This time we will use longer hi-hat. And here's the main difference between these two hi-hats. They really have a different character. The first one more clicky and sharp sound, and the second more longer and noisy sound. Now we created the same groove, and now we can extend this MIDI clip. Now let's mix the volume. Let's add some short reverb also. And according to the first layer of closed hi-hats, let's send this signal a little bit to the left. Now let's listen the whole mix. And don't forget about the sidechain on the second layer of closed hi-hats. We're almost done all the work with the drums, and now let's move to the top loop. Now we need to mix the volume and warp this loop. To warp this loop, we need to go straight into the sample, choose beat swapping modes, then transient, then forward, and adjust amount of the transients. Because in my opinion, from the top loops we need to extract only the transients, only the sharp parts. Sounds much better now, and now we need to sidechain this top loop. Now let's listen the whole mix. Okay, in the last part we need to apply an EQ and compressor to the whole drum group. And now I will use my favorite stock Ableton EQ preset that I've created for the drums. The first filter cut off all the lower frequencies, the second shell filter boosting the higher frequencies, and the third filter cut off all unnecessary high end. Now let's use stock Ableton glue compressor. And here we also need to turn down the threshold knob and also add some gain. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, and now let's finally move to the signature Argy synths. For this signature Argy lead, I will use the Serum preset from my Spectrum Volume 2 sample and presets pack. Now we need to create an empty MIDI clip, and I will show you how to create this chordy and dynamic pattern of the Argy sound. And maybe you noticed guys that the signature Argy lead contains of two different octaves. And we will start creating this lead from the higher octave. And first of all, we need to create this rhythmic and melodic part of this lead. We will use the really short notes here. And now we need to go up, I think. And maybe you noticed guys that every time we will come back to the main root note of this idea, the B minor. And now we need to go higher again. And to finalize this uplift idea, we need to go higher here one more time. And in the end of this melody, we need to go down. And now let's listen this rhythmic and melodic part of the main lead. Now we finished all the work with the higher octave, and now we need to create the lower octave. And all we need to do is to link the lower octave to the bass notes. And to create this lower octave, we will simply duplicate all the notes from the higher octave to the right. Then we will set up all the notes in the B minor key, because all the bass notes are also in the B minor key. And now let's finally move all these notes one octave lower. And now we need to move all these notes to the left. We've done all the work with the higher and lower octave, and now let's listen only the higher octave. And now let's listen 2 octaves together. And now guys, you can hear this amazing difference when the main lead playing only on the 1 octave and on the 2 octaves. Now I want to duplicate this MIDI clip with the lead and create the difference in the end of the MIDI clip. So we will turn off the lower octave. And we need to change the last notes here. Here we will change only the 2 notes at the end of the MIDI clip, but listen how the whole mood of this lead are changing to the end. Perfect, and now we can come back to the lower octave and turn it on. Okay, now we can consolidate these clips to one. And now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the notes, and now we can move to the processing. And of course we will start with the EQ. First of all, we need to clean the bass frequencies. Now I wanted to boost the mid frequencies and give the body to the lead. And now we will clean the most problem zone of all synths. This is the 3000 Hz. And now guys, I will clean this 3000 zone. And now this lead sounds clear. And the final step, we will cut all the frequencies above 15,000 Hz. Now we need to compress this lead, and I will use the stock Ableton compressor. We will turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. Now let's listen this lead in the mix, and let's add some sidechain. And I think we need to use the ratio around 1.85. We've done all the work with the notes, processing, and now it's time to move to the automation. For now, we need to create some dynamic and movement in this lead. And now I will show you that we can automate the cutoff knob, but instead of this, we will automate the macros knob that I created. Now I will open the serum and I will show you these macros. Just look at the left and you will see this open knob. And I've pinned 2 parameters on these macros. The sustain of the second envelope and also the noise. So when we're opening up this macros, we're making our sound more wider and noisy at the same time. And now we need to create the automation of this macros. I think we need to adjust the cutoff knob. I think sounds better now, and now we need to create the automation on the rest of the MIDI clip. And for now we need to duplicate this pattern that we created before. Sounds good, and now we need to duplicate this automation on the rest of the MIDI clip. And the last step, we need to add a long reverb through the send return channel. And now let's listen this lead in the mix. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the signature Argy lead, and now let's move to the synth that will create the answer to this lead. I will also use this lead preset from the Spectrum. And now guys, we need to fill the space between the main lead with the synth. We will place the synth right when the main lead stops playing. For now we need to create the rhythmic pattern. Sounds good, and now we need to add a few more notes here. And in the end of this MIDI clip I want to split the last notes. Now let's listen this synth in the mix. Okay, sounds really cool, and now I wanted to make these notes a little bit shorter. Here we need to fix these 3 notes. And now let's listen this lead in the whole mix. Now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. Now let's move to the processing, and we will start with the stock Ableton EQ. First of all, we need to clean bass frequencies. And now I think we need to clean the mid frequencies. Now we will clean the most problem zone, 3000 Hz. Now I will clean the zone, and please listen how much more clear this synth will sound. And the last step, we need to cut off the unnecessary high end. And now let's listen this synth in the mix. And the final step, we need to apply the sidechain to the synth. I think we will use the ratio around 1:45. And now let's add some delay through the send return. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, bass, signature synths, and now let's move to the final result. now we can finally move to the next artist, Massano, and we will start with the kick selection. Comparing to other melodic techno artists, Massano have a more peak time techno drums. So we need kick like this one. Now guys, just have a listen this kick. Now I want to compress this kick using stock Ableton compressor. We will turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. And now we need to process this kick with the EQ. First of all, we need to clean the sub-frequencies. Now we need to give the body to this kick and we need to boost the main kick frequency. And the final step, we need to reduce a few dB on the higher frequencies. And we will use the shell filter. We've done all the work with the kick processing, and now, according to my arrangement idea, I will remove the kick in some places in the drop. We've done all the work with the kick, and now let's move to the bass. For this bass sound, I will also use the preset from Spectrum. Now we will create an empty MIDI clip and we will create the classic rolling bass. We will produce this idea in G# minor K. Now we can duplicate these notes. Let's extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. Now let's mix up the volume. And now we can move to the processing and we will start with the EQ. And first of all, we will clean up the lower frequencies. Now we will remove a few dB on the main kick frequency. Now we need to give the body to this bass and we will boost the frequency around 100. And the last step, we need to cut off the higher frequencies. Now just have a listen to the higher frequency that we are cut it off. And now let's listen before and after. And now we need to sidechain this bass. We will use a really huge amount of the ratio. We've done all the work with the lower bass and now let's move to the top bass. For this top bass sound I will also use the preset from Spectrum Volume 2. Here we will use the same MIDI clip like on the lower bass. Now let's listen this bass in the mix. Let's mix up the volume. Now we will remove every bass note when the kick starts playing to create sidechain effect. We need to process this bass and we will start with the EQ. And first of all, we need to cut off the lower bass frequencies. And now we will reduce a few dB on the higher frequencies using the shell filter. Now we need to sidechain this bass and we will use a ratio around 4. Now let's listen the whole mix. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the bass and now let's move to the drums. First of all, we'll start with the clap. And according to my arrangement idea, in the beginning of the drop we will leave the space only for the kick, bass and synths. Now, at the end of the MIDI clip, I want to create double clap. Now let's listen this clap in the mix. Now we need to adjust the velocity of the second clap. Sounds much better now, and now we need to extend this MIDI clip. And now guys, let's move to the open hi-hat. In this idea we will use two different open hi-hats. This first open hi-hat will be short. Now we can extend this MIDI clip. Now let's add some short reverb. Now we can move to the second open hat, and this one will be longer. We will use the same MIDI clip, but we will place this open hat at the end of the drop. Now we need to mix up the volume. Now let's add some short reverb. We've done all the work with the open hats, and now let's move to the closed hats. Here we will also have two layers of closed hats. Now we will play with velocity to create groove. Now let's extend this MIDI clip. Now we need to mix up the volume. And now we need to sidechain these closed hats. And now let's move to the second layer of closed hi-hats. And when we will create this layer, we will leave some spaces between the notes. Now let's extend this MIDI clip. We need to mix up the volume. Let's add some short reverb. And some delay. Now let's listen the whole mix. And of course, don't forget about the sidechain on these closed hats. And the last part of the drum section is top loop. Now we need to warp this top loop. And as usual, we will go straight into the sample, choose beat swapping mode, then transients, then forward, and then adjust amount of the transients. And now we need to sidechain this top loop. Now we need to apply an EQ and glue compressor to the whole drum section. I will use my drums EQ preset here. And now we will use the glue compressor. We will turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. We will compress these drums really hard. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, and now let's move to the signature Massano synths. For this lead sound, I will also use the preset from Spectrum Volume 2. And first of all, we'll try to create this crunchy, powerful and melodic lead that will open up the drop. Now we will play with the notes. Here we need to go higher. And now we need to get back lower. Now we need to produce the ending for this melody to create a loop. We've done all the work with the notes here, and now let's extend this clip at the beginning of the drop. Now we need to process this lead, and we will start with the stock Ableton OTT. And first of all, we will boost higher frequencies. Then we need to reduce a few dB on the mid frequencies. Now we will apply an EQ and we will clean bass frequencies. Also, we need to clean mid frequencies. Now we will boost the higher frequencies a bit using the shell filter. And now we will clean 4000 Hz zone. And now we will clean unnecessary high end. And now let's listen this lead in the mix. Perfect, and now we need to use sidechain. And now, according to my arrangement idea, I want to use an after filter to slowly close up this lead before signature Massano lead. And now we need to create an automation. Okay guys, we've done all the work with this lead, and now let's move to the signature Massano lead. For this lead, I will also use the preset from Spectrum Volume 2. For this Massano lead, we need a really short and super punchy sound. Now we will create an empty MIDI clip. And the main secret behind the Massano lead, alongside the preset itself, is the rhythmic part of this lead. First of all, we'll use the super short notes. And now, all we need to do is to create a really cool rhythmic part. And as you may hear guys, Massano is changing his rhythmic part every time, and it's happening unexpected. So when you will find out the most unexpected moment to change the rhythm, that's it. Like this moment. really hope you can hear what I'm talking about. Now we will get back to the huge amount of the short notes. And that's it, guys. Here's the two main secrets behind the Massano lead. The first one, as you may hear, use the really short notes. And the second one, change the rhythmic part in every unexpected moment. So for now I will try to finish rhythmic part of this MIDI clip. So you guys just watch and enjoy. Now we can slowly move to the second part of this MIDI clip. And in the second part we will also change the rhythmic part a few times. Let's finish this MIDI clip with the 4 short notes. It wasn't easy, guys, but we finished with the rhythmic part. Now we can extend this MIDI clip for the rest of the drop. And now we can finally move to the processing, and we'll start with the EQ. First of all, we need to clean the bass frequencies. Also, we need to clean the mid frequencies. And also I want to add a few dB on the body of this lead. Now we will boost the higher frequencies using the shell filter. And the final step, we will cut off unnecessary high end. And now let's listen this lead in the mix. Now we need to sidechain this lead. And now I wanted to add an after filter to slowly open up this lead. Okay guys, and now we need to create a layer of the support percussion to the signature Massano lead. We will use the same MIDI clip. Now we need to mix up the volume. I think we need to put this percussion a few notes higher. And now we need to sidechain this support percussion. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, bass, we created the signature Massano lead, and now let's move to the final result. Okay guys, and now we're moving to the next artist, Innellea, and we will start with the kick selection. Here we will use the kick with the cool pumping body. Now we need to extend the MIDI clip. And the last step, we need to compress this kick using the stock Ableton compressor. We need to turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. And according to my arrangement idea, I will cut the kick in some places in the drop. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the kick and now let's move to the bass. For the lower bass sound, I will use the serum with this preset. I think this boomy and distorted sound will fit really good for the lower bass. And we will produce this idea in E minor key. And our main goal for now is to create the groove with this bass. I think we need to make this note longer. And now we can duplicate these notes to the second half of the MIDI clip. Yeah, sounds good, and now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. But according to my arrangement idea, in the third part of the drop we will play our bass on the different notes. And now we can finally move to the processing. We'll start with the stock Ableton EQ, and first of all we need to clean the sub-frequencies. And now we will clean the main kick frequency to help the kick go through the bass. Also, we will give the body to the bass, boosting the 100 Hz. And the last step, we will cut off the higher frequencies. And now let's listen before and after the EQ. When we're cleaning our bass with the EQ, our main goal is to remove all the unnecessary frequencies that will create a conflict with other elements in the track. Now we need to sidechain this bass and we will use the really huge amount of the ratio. Now we will create the next layer of the bass, the wobble bass shot. Here I will also use the serum with this preset. Now we will create an empty MIDI clip and we will place our wobble bass every time when a kick hits. Now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. And in the third part of the drop we will change the wobble bass notes according to the lower bass notes. Now let's listen these basses together. Now we need to mix up the volume. And now let's move to the processing and we will start with the saturation. We will use the hard curve here to make this wobble bass sound a little bit brighter and tighter. And now let's process this bass with the EQ and we'll start with the cleaning the lower frequencies. As you may hear, we clean the bass frequencies. Now we need to remove a few dB on the higher frequencies using the shell filter. And the final step, we need to sidechain this bass. I think we will use the ratio around 1:45. Let's mix some short reverb. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the wobble bass here, and now let's create the long acid step bass. And I will use the serum with this preset. This one sounds really amazing, and we need to create an empty MIDI clip, and we will place the really long note here. Now let's mix up the volume. Now we need to process this step, and I think we'll start with the pedal. Here I want to distort this sound a little bit more. Now let's add some erosion. We will select the white noise and we will adjust the width and amount. Now we need to clean this step with the EQ. Let's clean the lower bass frequencies. Now we need to clean the mid frequencies. Let's reduce a few dB on the high end using the shell filter. And the last step, we need to sidechain this step. And now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. Okay guys, and now let's move to the signature Innellea acid bass. For this bass I will also use the preset from Spectrum Volume 2. And as you may hear guys, in the Innellea idea we use the really huge amount of the distortion and acid elements. Okay, now we need to play with the notes. And now we can extend this MIDI clip for the first part of the drop. Now we can move to the processing, and we will start with the stock Ableton pedal. According to the previous step, I want to distort this bass a little bit more. Now we need to process this bass with the EQ, and we'll start with the lower bass frequency cut. And now we need to clean the mid frequencies. And also let's reduce a few dB on the higher frequencies using the shell filter. Now we need to sidechain this bass. Now let's mix some short reverb. And now we need to create an automation on the after filter to slowly close up this acid bass before the main signature lead. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the kick, bass, and now let's move to the drums. We need to pick the really sharp clap here. Now let's extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. I think we need to process this clap with the EQ, and we will start with the cleaning the lower frequencies. And now I want to reduce a few dB on the higher frequencies using the shell filter. Now guys, let's move to the open head. And as usual, we will place our open head right between the kick and clap. Now let's mix some short reverb. And let's extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. Now guys, let's move to the first layer of the closed hi-hats. We will start opening up the closed hi-hats together with the open head. Here we will create my favorite pattern using the velocity. Now we can duplicate these notes and extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. Now we need to sidechain these closed heads. Don't forget about the short reverb. And now to create the stereo effect on the closed hi-hats, let's send the signal a little bit to the left. Now let's move to the second layer of the closed hi-hats. On this layer we will leave some spaces between the notes. Now we can duplicate this pattern. Now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop, and let's mix up the volume. Now let's also mix the short reverb. Also we need to add some delay. And to create the stereo effect, let's send the signal a little bit to the right. And of course, don't forget about the sidechain. Now we need to add the top loop to make our drum section more complicated. And first of all, we need to mix up the volume. And now we need to work this loop and work with the transients. And now we need to sidechain this top loop. Now let's create the layer with the snare build-up. We need to create this layer to prepare the listener for the main lead. Here let's also work with the velocity to create the dynamic in the snares. Now we need to process the snares with the EQ, and we'll start with the cleaning the lower frequencies. Now we need to reduce a few dB on the higher frequencies using the shell filter. Now we need to use an after filter and create the automation to slowly open up this build-up snare. And now let's mix some short reverb. And the final step, we need to apply an EQ and compression to the whole drum section. And again, we will use the EQ preset that I've created for the drums. And as usual, we will use the stock Ableton glue compressor. We need to turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the bass, and now let's move to the signature Innellea synths. First of all, we will start with the step. This one will remind you the Massano signature step, but this one is not so aggressive and we will help our bass go harder with the step. Now we need to play with the notes. We need to create a groove with the step. Now we can duplicate these notes. Let's mix up the volume. And now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. And now, in the third part of the drop, we need to change the step notes according to the bass notes. Now let's listen the step in the mix. Now we need to process the step with the EQ. First of all, let's clean up the lower frequencies. Now let's boost up the body of the step, and we need to boost the mid frequencies. Now we need to clean the most problem zone, the 3000 Hz. And the final step, let's cut off the unnecessary high end. Now we need to sidechain this step. Now let's listen the whole mix. I think we need to clean the lower frequencies a bit harder. And now guys, let's create an automation on the cutoff knob. We will slowly open up the cutoff knob from the beginning of the drop to the end of the drop. And here in the zone where we have a build-up snare, let's move the automation up, and then when we will go to the third part of the drop, we will go down. Now let's mix some short reverb. And now let's listen the whole mix. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the synth step, and now let's finally move to the signature Innellea lead. For this lead I will also use the preset from Spectrum Volume 2. Now we need to create an empty MIDI clip, and I will tell you a few words about the signature Innellea pattern. When we will create the melody, we will always start with the root note of the track. And these first root notes always be placed 1 or 2 octaves lower comparing to the higher octave notes. And now maybe you noticed guys that the melody section will be placed on the higher octaves. Now we will repeat the bottom root notes pattern. And as you may see guys, we repeated the bottom root notes pattern 3 times. And we're not changing the rhythmic part, we're changing only the notes on the higher octaves. Now we need to go up. Now let's listen this lead and the mix. And as I said when we are just started to create this main lead, the first root bottom notes will be also placed 1 or 2 octaves lower. And now guys, let's listen the changes. And now we're added this aggressive sound to the first root note. Now we can move to the processing, and we'll start with the stock Ableton OTT. First of all, let's boost the high frequencies and reduce a few dB on the mid frequencies. Now we need to apply the reverb directly on the channel. Let's set up the decay time from 3 to 4 seconds and dry wet knob on 25. Now we need to process this lead with the EQ, and let's start with the cleaning the lower frequencies. Now we need to give the body to this lead, and let's boost the mid frequencies. And now let's clean the most problem zone, 3000 Hz. I hope you can hear guys how important this zone is. And now we need to cut off unnecessary high end. And now we need to apply the sidechain to this lead, and we will use the ratio around 1:45. And let's listen this lead in the mix. And the final step guys, according to the arrangement idea, we need to apply an after filter and slowly open up this main lead. We need to open the main lead only in the third part of the drop. And here, in this zone, the after filter and snare build-up will help us to open the main lead. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, we created an amazing acid basses and synths, and now let's move to the final result. Okay guys, and now let's move to our last artist for today, it's Agents of Time. And of course we will start with the kick selection. The signature Agents of Time sound is more commercial comparing to other melodic techno artists. So I think here the house kick will be okay to use. Now we need to apply an EQ to this kick. And let's clean the sub-frequencies. Now let's boost the main kick frequency. And now we need to reduce a few dB on the high end using the shell filter. Now we can extend the MIDI clip for the whole drop. And now, according to my arrangement idea, we will cut the kick in some places in the drop, and we've done all the work with the kick. And now let's move to the bass. Here we will create the classic 2-layer rolling bass. Now we can duplicate these notes and create the melody of the bass. Now let's mix up the volume. Now we need to make all these notes a little bit shorter to create the space between the notes. And now we can finally move to the processing, and we will start with the stock Ableton EQ. And as usual, first of all, we need to clean the sub-frequencies. Now let's reduce a few dB on the main kick frequency to help the kick go through the bass. Also, we need to give the body to the bass, so we need to boost 100 Hz. And the final step, we need to cut off the higher frequencies. And now let's listen the frequencies that were cut off. We will use these frequencies on the top bass. Let's listen this bass in the mix. And here's the before and after the EQ. Now we need to apply the sidechain. Now we can extend this MIDI clip for the whole drop. And now we can move to the layer with the top bass. We will use the same MIDI clip as on the lower bass. And the only difference that we will remove every note when the kick starts hitting to create the sidechain effect. Now let's mix up the volume. Let's process this top bass and start with the saturation. We will use the soft sine. We're making this top bass sound a little bit brighter. So for now we need to process this top bass with the EQ. We will remove the lower bass frequency. We are removing the lower bass frequency to avoid the conflict. Now we need to clean the high end by using the shell filter. And now we will cut off all unnecessary high end with the filter also. And now let's listen the whole mix. Now we need to sidechain this bass. And the last step, we need to create an automation on the cutoff knob. With this automation, we will give the dynamic to the top bass sound. Now we need to create the pattern. Now we can duplicate this pattern to the whole MIDI clip. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the kick and bass, and now let's move to the drums. We'll start building our drum section with the clap. I think here we need to reach the humanized effect, so we will use the two layers of the clap. So here will be the first layer of the clap, straight on the every second kick hit. And now let's move to the second clap layer. As you may see guys, at the beginning of this clap we have this tail, the free space. So if we will place this clap straight into the grid, that will be the offbeat effect. So because of which we need to move this clap a little bit to the left. And now we reach this humanized effect from the claps. Now we need to mix up the volume. And now we can move to the open hi-hat. From the open hi-hat I want to hear this noisy sound. Now we will extend this MIDI clip and we will mix up the volume. But the only one thing, I want to adjust the attack knob. So I just wanted a little bit smoother entrance. Let's add some short reverb. And now let's move to the first layer of the closed heads. Now we will create an empty MIDI clip and we will create a pattern. Let's play with the velocity. Now we can duplicate the notes. And now let's mix some short reverb. Let's extend the MIDI clip for the whole drop. And of course, don't forget about the sidechain. Now let's move to the second layer of the closed heads. On this layer of the closed heads, I want to create a pattern with the free spaces between the notes. So here we will also play with the velocity. Now we can duplicate the notes. Now we can duplicate this pattern for the whole MIDI clip. Let's extend this MIDI clip and mix up the volume. And the last part in the drum section is top loop. Now we need to place this top loop in the drum section, mix up the volume and warp it. Here, as usual, we will work with the transients. And now we need to apply an EQ and compression to the whole drum section. And of course, we will use my stock Ableton EQ preset that I've created for the drums. And now it's time to use the stock Ableton glue compressor. We need to turn down the threshold knob and add some gain. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums and now it's time to move to the signature Agents of Time synths. This is the preset from the Spectrum Volume 2 also. And here's the main secret behind the Agents of Time signature lead. If we will open up the FX section, as you may see, we have a delay and reverb, but in the end of this chain we have a compressor. So because of it, when we will play the note, we will hear the really huge amount of the reverb and the delay huge amount of time. Now we need to create an empty MIDI clip and create a melody. We will create this melody in A sharp minor key, but this is not a secret, this melody is inspired by the Agents of Time track called Zodiac. And I will come back to you guys a bit later and I will show you why this preset is working really good with this melody. And now guys, we need to recreate the melodies, so just have a listen and enjoy! For now guys, I think you can see this repetitive rhythmic pattern. And every time when we will repeat this rhythmic pattern, we will go higher and higher. So we will create this uplifting pattern. Only in the end of the melody we will go down. And now let's listen to this melody in the mix. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the first half of the MIDI clip, and now we need to create the second half of the MIDI clip, so we will just copy and paste the notes, but we will make some changes. Here we need to change a few notes to change the mood of the melody. And as you may see guys, in the first half of the MIDI clip all the notes went higher, and in the second half of the MIDI clip all the notes are anchoring us down. This trick is creating the really cool loop from this melody. With the notes in the end of the MIDI clip, we need to create the cool loop as I said before. And now let's listen to the full melody. And now guys, I'm coming back to you to explain why this preset is working really good with this melody. And as you may hear guys, we have a really huge amount of the space between the notes. But in this preset, delay and the reverb compressing really hard and filling this space between the notes. And here's the main secret behind this preset and lead, and now we can process it. First of all, we need to clean the bass frequencies. Now we need to reduce a few dB from the mid frequencies. Now we need to clean the most problem zone, 3000 Hz. And now just have a listen before and after the cleaning this problem zone. And now we need to cut off unnecessary high end. And now we need to sidechain this lead. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, bass, we created the signature Agents of Time synths, and now let's move to the final result. Yep, that's it guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial, I really hope it was useful, and I just want to remind you that most of the sounds that I used in this tutorial was from my Spectrum Melodic Techno pack that you can purchase on my Patreon page. And also, if you want to take your music production skills to the next level, please visit the website of our music academy and label called prizma.world. And now, if you really like this tutorial, please leave a like, comment, and see you in the next videos.